Welcome to this month's live panel debate. I'll be your host, Clare Muscutt, and I'm the very proud founder of Women in CX, the world's first online membership community for women in customer experience. Before I introduce today's topic and my esteemed guests, I'd love to get the chat started. So please let us know, where in the world are you joining us from today? And while we're waiting for a few more people to join, in the background, I've got my amazing team supporting this live stream. Meg's here with me in the background, coordinating everything backstage. And Harley is going to be supporting you in the chat and also asking you some of the same questions we're going to be asking the panel. So please do get involved and share your thoughts too. So just to tell you a little more about who we are and what we do, 2 years ago on International Women's Day, Women in CX first launched with a small group of founding members and has since grown into a community of more than 7,500 members, sponsors and supporters across the globe. The goals of our organisation are to promote diversity, equity and inclusion within the CX and tech industry, to create opportunities for women to network, learn, find mentorship and support, and to advance the field of CX by amplifying the voices of women and nurturing their ideas. And in a space where 70% of the frontline workforce are women, but only 30% make it into entry-level management, we have got serious work to do to reach gender equality. So if you're wondering where it all began, Wix started in the pandemic lockdowns of 2020 as a platform for women to have real talk conversations about customer experience and the issues women face in and out of the workplace. A community sprung up around the show on social media, excuse me, and the response helped us to identify a real need for something more organised to enable women across the world to connect and support one another. We built an online membership community as a safe space for women from diverse backgrounds to come together and support one another. And as I said, launched just under 2 years ago on International Women's Day 21. But since then, we've expanded into an offline community with events and conferences led by our founding members being held in locations like London, Barcelona, Dubai, Dublin, Toronto, New York, San Francisco, Amsterdam, and even the Caribbean. On International Women's Day this year, we've got in-person and online women's networking events happening across the globe. So if you'd like to take part, please do go visit our events page on the website. I'm sure Harley will add the link into the comments now. Because by harnessing the power of female collaboration, sharing our challenges and experiences and learning from one another, we can achieve far more than we ever could alone. But the jewel in our crown is our community inner circle, and that's a private paid members only community where we co-designed and collaborated with our community members to create that place where women can collaborate, inspire and support one another on the path to CX mastery. With access to a private social network, exclusive networking events, guest webinars, member-led masterclasses and case studies, plus a whole resource library of exclusive content to help our members flourish both personally and professionally. That's the place to be if you're looking to accelerate your career. And this year we've launched a whole host of exclusive inner circle features, including a mentoring scheme to help women find their dream mentor, a member directory to connect women with subject matter experts who can help them solve their challenges, regular CX news roundup focusing on the latest trends and hot topics, and even an approved list of coaches to support women with their goals. And our members have been experiencing huge success in connecting with opportunities for employed work, consulting, public speaking, content collaborations, and raising their profiles through our own and partner media channels, including the Women in CX podcast, CX Today, My Customer, and CX Magazine. Our community is flooded with success stories of promotions, pay rises, jobs, new businesses, and with Wix courses opening soon, I really can't wait to see what our members achieve next. If you're interested in joining, applications are now open. So another link that will appear in your chat now for a free 7-day trial is click that link. And we even offer a social pricing model and free scholarship places for women out of work to ensure we remove any social and economic barriers to people taking part in the spirit of true equality. And why you're here today, we're on a mission to amplify the voices of women in our industry, hence taking what used to be a roundtable discussion inside the community live to you, our audience on LinkedIn. So just as a reminder of what we're discussing today, we're here to talk about navigating the future of customer service strategies for success. But before we start, should we have a little look and see who's here? Is anyone introducing themselves in the chat? Oh, we've got loads. Hi, Katya from Berlin. We've got Nicola from Salisbury, near Stonehenge. Thanks for the specificity. Helen from Wiltshire. Oh, you should hang out with Nicola. Saruk from Kuwait. Victoria from London, Isabella from Copenhagen, Anna from Spain. Oh, got Olga as well from Georgia. Lovely to see you, Olga. Even Bolatito, who's here joining us from Aberdeen in Scotland. So anyone else who's arriving, please feel free to get some networking going, connect with one another in the chat. That's what we're here for. So let's get ready for this panel. So just to position the conversation today, customer service is in a state of constant evolution as businesses look for new ways to meet the ever-changing needs of their customers. One of the biggest changes in recent years has been the increased use of technology in customer service, from chatbots and AI-powered virtual assistants to social media and messaging apps. Businesses are using technology to provide faster, more efficient customer service. This shift towards digital channels has also led to an increased focus on self-service options, such as online FAQs and knowledge bases. However, technology alone is not enough to provide excellent customer service. Empathy and emotional intelligence are also critical components of a successful customer service strategy. Businesses must be able to understand and respond to their customers' needs and feelings in order to build loyalty and trust. But this requires training and development for customer service representatives, as well as a culture of empathy within the organisation. Creating a positive customer experience is also crucial for businesses looking to stand out in a crowded marketplace. This includes not only providing helpful and efficient service, but also addressing customer complaints and managing customer expectations. Businesses must be able to handle difficult situations with tact and diplomacy in order to maintain customer satisfaction. Overall, the state of customer service is dynamic and ever-changing, with businesses facing the new challenges I mentioned in this increasingly digital world. To succeed, we must be able to adapt to new technology and channels, whilst also focusing on the human aspects of customer experience. So today, I'm thrilled to be joined by a panel of experts from the Women in CX community in a circle to discuss the current state of customer service and its impact on business success. We're going to be talking about the use of technology in customer service, the role of empathy and emotional intelligence in customer interactions, and strategies for creating a positive customer experience. Our panellists are also going to explore the challenges business face in providing excellent customer service, including addressing customer complaints and managing expectations. So if your business is looking to improve customer service and enhance customer satisfaction, get set to hear the most valuable insights from this epic group of women. And to the audience, we'd love you to get involved by commenting in the chat and asking your questions. Our final 15 minutes today is going to be dedicated to answering your questions. So please do fire away, and we'll do our very best to involve as many of you as possible in the conversation. So without further ado, please welcome on stage CX Queens, Agnes So, Head of Customer Support and Engagement at HotDoc, Leonie Williams, Director and Co-founder at Customer Service Solutions, Shamim Smiley, CCAS Technology Specialist in Digital and Customer Experience Transformation, and last but definitely not least, Sandra Thompson, Emotional Intelligence Coach and founder of the EI Evolution. Welcome, ladies. I'm so happy you're here.
Morning.
How are you all doing today?
Good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I didn't get the memo on the red. Sandra and Shamim, I'm noticing.
The power girls.
Looks like I've got my lipstick on.
It's because we're emotionally connected.
Ah.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. So to kick off with, ladies, shall we start with some introductions? If you'd like to share a little bit more about yourself, who you are, where you're based, and how you're connected with the subject of customer service. And I'm just going to go around the room, starting with Agnes. Please tell us more about you.
Hi there, ladies. My name's Agnes. So I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. So I'm actually coming to you from the future, the evening of Monday the 27th. Hello. As we said before, I'm the head of customer support and engagement at HotDoc. And HotDoc, if you're not familiar with it, we're an Australian SaaS company, and we essentially focus on using technology to improve the healthcare experience for all Australians. So really understanding how technology can improve access to healthcare in our communities. So when I try to describe what I do more recently, I do like to describe it as a very blended role with sort of 80% parts CX and like 20% parts marketing. And for me, the CX side really sits within overseeing the strategy of our support and contact center, the learning and development of our customers, as well as voice of customer insights and reporting on all of our listening channels. And then the marketing side is really focused on events, community, and go-to-market as well. So where I've been focusing more recently is in considering where the two really intersect to create the best sort of end-to-end experience, all the way from acquisition to advocacy. And for me, it's been really interesting to kind of see where both CX and marketing really align. So for me, because my background has always been in customer service, so I'm really passionate about today's topic. And I really do hope not only to impart some knowledge, but learn a lot myself about how I can improve customer service in my own company. Because I guess working in tech, we know the tech landscape is in a massive downturn, which means some of my biggest problems are going to be making the budget stretch and supporting the healthcare industry, which also has been reeling from their own issues post-COVID and require more support than ever. So really happy to be here and to pick the brains of the fabulous panel.
What a wonderful intro. Thanks so much, Agnes. And can totally agree with you there in that intersection between marketing, community, customer service, customer experience. The lines are definitely blurring even further, aren't they? So Leonie, tell us more about you.
Hi everyone, I'm Leonie. So I am co-founder of Customer Service Solutions with Rebecca Holiday. So we set up Customer Service Solutions about 18 months ago because we wanted to practically help people support their customer-centric cultures, and we help organizations do that, looking at their strategy, their vision, their leadership, working with their people, and looking also at customer experience. Before that, we both worked for the Institute of Customer Service, so combined for about 15 years. And we're working with the Institute of Customer Service as a professional body for service in the UK, gave us some really good insights into pan-sector, regulated, non-regulated companies that are all sort of wanting to fight in this space of customer service and customer experience. So again, I'm really, really happy to be here and learn from the other panelists and hopefully give you some of my knowledge as well.
Yay! Thanks so much, Leonie. Perfect introduction. And over to Sandra, who's currently on mute.
Hello. Right, where to start? So I actually started out in marketing, and it was with a fascination and curiosity about people and how I could influence them. And so then when that kind of role started to change into more kind of customer experience, I was thinking, there's something in this, because all the time I was doing the marketing messages and then we weren't necessarily delivering the same experience I was talking about. So I went to the dark side of customer experience about 14 years ago when I set up as a consultant, and I've been on this journey with emotional intelligence and with empathy. I studied with Daniel Goleman and I became a coach. And really for me, my sweet spot is the neuroscience and the psychology. So really, I want to represent the brain and say to everyone, please remember that we're not logical, necessarily always predictable people. We have this beautiful, messy, annoying thing that is our brain, which means we don't show up how we're meant to, and customers don't do what they say they're going to do. So I try to represent the brain, and I do some consultancy in customer experience and also in employee experience. And I try to be that annoying voice to say, I'm not sure that that's actually what humans do. And I do some lecturing and I do some public speaking, and it's a real pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute privilege to have you. And yes, definitely resonating with unpredictable and messy emotions and the human aspect of the reality of what it means to be human. And having worked with you for a number of years now and been connected with you, I've learned so much. So thank you. And last but not least, the lovely Shamim.
Hi there, everybody. So my name is Shamim, and I'm a consultant and a subject matter expert in CCaaS, which is Contact Center as a Service, as well as contact center technologies and operations. So throughout my career, I've partnered with many organizations to deliver successful digital and customer experience transformation projects. I'm also a massive advocate on driving, a better and sustainable culture, focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion, and my favorite, which is belonging. So my connection with customer service is that although I've always worked on the tech vendor side of the fence, I consider myself to have stayed close to the trenches, or as close to the front line as possible. So being wherever customers and businesses are. So I started off in product support, where nobody calls you if they're happy. It's quite the opposite. Through to different roles in tech consultancy, and then through to sales, business to business, business to customer. And then I changed roles to focus on product strategy, management, go-to-market functions, with always, a central focus on business and customer strategy, approaches, and execution, so that any organization really can change how they operate, how they consume or leverage new technologies, making technologies the friend of non-technical communities, so that they can deliver real value to their people, to their customers, and to their stakeholders. So that's me.
Whoa, wow. And yeah, definitely technical expertise that you bring to our community and helping us interpret some of those technical points has been so valuable to me and to everybody else, because sometimes it can feel like a bit of a wild west, can't it? But it's great to have that this complement of someone who's working in operations in a tech company based company now, and how you're evolving channels. Leonie, with her background in working with the UK's representative of customer service, Sandra with EI, and all of that incredible brain science behind why we do what we do, and Shamim with tech and CCAS, which stands for customer service as a solution. Is that right? Contact center as a solution. Otherwise it'd be CSCAS, wouldn't it? CSCAS.
Yeah.
So just welcome a few more. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So we're just going to welcome a few more ladies who I've seen have joined soon. So we've got Roxanne from London, Natalie in South Africa, Nicola's having banter with Helen about that Wiltshire being the place for CX. I think previously it was Reading was the hotbed of CX. So where's Sandra's from? And got Elson from Hong Kong as well. Oh, it's getting truly international this morning. Just saw Nicola's comment about reading Rory Sutherland's book Alchemy. Like, that really inspired me too. So really great recommendation. Yeah, thinking about kind of customer experience alchemy has been on my mind ever since. So I'm just going to open up the floor really to have you tell us what you think, from your perspective, your experience, is the state of customer service as you see it today. So we're just going to get it out there. Here's your chance to share your opinion and point of view. So I'll go around again. Agnes, what's your view on the state of customer service?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I truly think it's at this really critical state right now, whereby, and I hate always talking about COVID, but customers are still really reeling from the effects of the pandemic. And like a really good example in my, with my team is, during COVID, we saw a really huge change in channel mix, with our customers preferring phone rather than any other channel, because they just wanted that human element. They wanted someone to tell them it was going to be okay. And we were supporting healthcare professionals. So of course they just wanted someone to give them a bit of like a oral hug over the phone. So we saw our channel mix. Pre-COVID, it was 25% phone and 75% email. And then during COVID, it went all the way up to 50%. And to be honest, we've not really seen it go down. And the trend continues to be around between anywhere between 40 to 50. So we're also seeing, I reckon, the effects of 3 years of really inconsistent customer support, because as contact centers, we've also been reeling from the change, trying to be like, how are we going to solve all these problems? How are we going to serve all these people who now really just want that human element? And so I think that we haven't always had the trust over the last 3 years either, where we've gotten it wrong sometimes. And, the good ones will own up to that, and the bad ones, perhaps, maybe we'll just try and sweep it on the table. But I know we've seen it in our own company, whereby, during COVID, we were seen as heroes because we were giving our customers the technology they needed to succeed. But then after COVID, we couldn't keep up with the volume, and then we started being seen as villains because we couldn't answer the phone. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're trying to actually redeem ourselves from some of that service level failure. And I kind of see that as being something that I'm hearing being echoed in other industries as well.
Yeah, and I think I've not seen one for at least a month, a message that still says, due to unprecedented demand, due to the pandemic, we can't answer your call. So.
Yeah. We recently had to take that IVR down because we're like, you know what, that's not an excuse anymore.
Yeah, but it was a really good point though, right? Like people's behavior has changed, and actually that's changed the contact center, and the way contact centers work, even with remote working, has changed. So yeah, we are at a really important and changing time. So yeah, really appreciate those points. And Leonie, what's your view of the state of customer service?
Yeah, do you know what? I would agree with everything that Agnes has just said. I think that, you know, as a direct result of the last 3 years, just people are just slightly more frustrated, and we need to be there for our customers. But fundamentally, along, you know, if you look at background data, our expectations have been changing, and they will always be expecting more. So I think it's just about keeping up with ever moving times, but also regulatory changes are coming in, and that's causing a big impact on some sectors as well. And I think that with those regulatory changes, some sectors are having to move rather than wanting to move, and they're doing it under slight duress. And I think there are other organisations that just don't get it. They're just so operationally and financially focused and process driven that they're just not getting it. And there may be a little bit more talk about, you know, setting the right values and talking about it, but is it just lip service for some organisations? So I think that there's still a massive amount of work to be done, but there is sort of, you know, green shoots or blue shoots, whatever you want to say, particularly around the regulated sectors, because once they're regulated, there is a lot of movement to be seen, but it is sometimes a little bit under duress.
Yeah. And the examples you're talking about specifically there, are they the UK ones on banking and insurance, where they're now going to be making sure customers get the best deal? Is that even extend to utilities? I'm a bit out of the loop.
Yeah, so heavily regulated sectors are, utilities, FCA, more sort of social housing more recently, that kind of thing. They're going through a massive transition at the moment. So there is some really, really good work happening. Definitely. It's just that
making it a legal compliance issue.
Yeah, I know. And that's not necessarily the way that we want to go. People, we need to do this because it's the right thing to do. And actually thinking about the fact that you're, you know, thinking about your customers first before your operation is probably what's going to make you successful. So it's just about getting them to that mindset. We're not quite there yet across some industries.
Yeah, it's going to be friction for sure. And Sandra, tell us about your point of view.
Oh my gosh, where to start? Okay, so there's a few things that I've observed. The first thing that I want to draw to people's attention, if you don't already notice this, and I'm sure that you do, when you go to a counter or you go somewhere, you'll see a sign that says, please, we don't tolerate verbal abuse. We don't tolerate any kind of abuse, and we will take legal action. It's coming up more and more and more and more. The fact is, and I spoke to a neuroscientist about this very topic, our amygdala, our emotional center, has increased because of the uncertainty, because of the state we were in for 3 years, where it was constantly worrying about what will happen with the kids with homeschooling, what will happen with my friends and family who aren't well, people died, etc., etc., etc. So you've got the amygdala on steroids, not technically, that's not a medical term. And then you've got the hippocampus and other parts of the brain that are just going, right, okay, you're in charge. I'm going to shrink. So people aren't remembering stuff. They are not able to recall things. They're not able to make better decisions because the prefrontal cortex is going, amygdala's in charge. I'm having a break. And we forget all of this. So the first point is, we are, as consumers, more sensitive. We are more volatile. We are getting angrier. And then we've got the poor old customer service agent or frontline staff who is burnt out. They're burnt out because they're fed up with all of this abuse. And the thing is, they're caught right in the middle. I saw a statistic last week, and I wish I could remember where I saw it. Obviously, my hippocampus isn't working. But the fact is, employees are spending 20% of their time dealing with the poop the organization has done. So imagine that. Here's the organization making all these policies. Here's the poor people at the front line dealing with the hassle from the customers. They're helpless. And so therefore they are leaving in their droves more than ever. And while we do have technology, and that's incredible, the fact is, while our amygdalas are still amplified, we need some reassurance. Need some reassurance and some understanding. So there's never been a better time for empathy and emotional intelligence. Thank you and good night.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That was amazing. Thank you, Sandra. And Shmeem, please do give us your perspective. But I'm super interested to know how you think technology is going to impact the customer service industry in the future as well. Please tell us.
Okay, so everything that everybody said is on the money. It's spot on. But I think these problems existed long before COVID came and, turned our worlds upside down. I think, COVID has caused many, many more problems, and it's exacerbated, I think, what already was actually happening. A lot of organizations had an opportunity during lockdown, during that period where we all lived in our rooms for however long it was, to really clean up, the messes within their organization. But a lot of organizations did a massive pivot to leveraging technology, but they didn't do it properly. They because they felt pressure to finish it, or just to provide on the spot resolutions, let's say. A lot of it is just worse than what it was before. And what I see as a state customer service is that the people, to everybody's point, who are at the end of these interactions, they're not empowered to actually solve that customer's problem. Technology has been around for a really long time that can actually augment, what the people on the front line are actually doing, but it's not being used properly. It's not been deployed effectively, and shortcuts have been made. And if I think about then, how things can change in the future, I feel like I'm just regurgitating what I've been saying for, the last 5 years plus, because, there's new and emerging technology. It continues to play, a really increasingly important role in customer service. It can provide new opportunities for companies, and it can provide better, more personalized support to customers. But I think the point is, technology doesn't have magical powers yet. And artificial intelligence is far from being intelligent. It can't do a vulgar mind melt and just understand all the problems of a business and just fix it. And I think, technology should be impacting customer service in a way that is positive. And I think it will do in the future. I think it will happen. But I'm going to say what I've been saying again for years, that it will continue to evolve, and it's going to be augmented to reduce pain and friction. But that's where it should be used. That's where it can be used. And I think for the foreseeable, I'm still advising businesses to carry out their due diligence. Don't implement tech for tech's sake. Understand why you're doing this in the first place, and make sure that the impact lines up with serving the customers and the people, because it's still vitally important that customers balance the benefits of tech with the importance of human connection and empathy in all of those, interactions, regardless of the channels that are being used. Sorry, as a bit of a mouthful. So.
No, and it's good to get. I know I've seen you speak for years, and that crystal ball that you had, it has remained unchanged. And I think just to kind of agree with you, that in the pandemic, a lot of the technologies got implemented super quickly, and these capabilities like cloud, for example, now pretty much everybody has them. But there's this effort that now needs to go back and go, okay, how do we want to use these technologies to reduce friction as opposed to just remove contact, which during the pandemic was kind of the point. So it's as you say, an opportunity to go back and review. And as a customer experience designer, I think the only way to do that is to go, okay, what do we want our experience to be like, rather than how do all these technologies link together, and then the output of that is the customer and employee experience. We need to go, what do we actually want to offer as a service and an experience for the people involved in this process? Do you have anything to add to that, Agnes? I guess being at the kind of cutting edge of this on the operational floor, as we say right now.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that idea of don't implement tech for tech's sake that you were saying about, Shamim. But what I'm seeing from our customers is it's what you said, Claire. They were forced to. There was such a highly accelerated technical adoption rate during COVID, specifically within healthcare, because they had to find a way very quickly to practice medicine from their homes. And that was something that prior to COVID in our industry, it was just something that they never placed an iota of value in telehealth consultations prior to COVID. But now, post-COVID, now that patients have had an element or a taste of that convenience factor of a telehealth consultation, they're actually demanding it, and it's becoming a value add to our customers' customers. So now they're being forced to essentially adopt something that they thought was only going to be a temporary measure. They thought they were just going to go back to providing brick and mortar services, but now they have to actually increase that, not just the amount of telehealth consultations that they're providing, but also the quality of them, right? So, and not only that, we're starting to see other online services sort of pop up as a result of that. Like we've got online script requests, and now our customers are asking our customers, can we get that too? So I'm kind of seeing technology, even from a more zoomed out lens, of being that our own customers have to go through this level of adoption that they've never really planned for. So that's the flow-on effect to us, right? Because that's why they're contacting us more than ever. That's why their amygdalas are kind of like, as you said, Sandra, all over the shop, because they're having to deal with all of these different factors at play and things that they hadn't planned on doing. So for me, I think technology affects the customer, which is then affecting us to go, how can we use technology to, as you said, maybe deflect or absorb or, do other things that might be innovative in this space. What I think, Shamim, you said is absolutely correct. I see a lot of AI being baked into customer service tools now, specifically with, the dawn of ChatGPT-3 and, all the things that we can kind of see it do, be it good or bad. But at the end of the day, it's never going to replace a human. But where I think I'm really interested in what it can do in the future is where it can enhance what we do. So a really good example of that I read about recently was Intercom. They released some tools essentially to help their agents write responses in the right tone for their customer. So without needing to sort of labor over the response themselves. So rather than deflect or, try and eliminate the cause of contact, they're actually just trying to enhance the human element. And I see that really being helpful, especially if you want to scale like a dispersed team, perhaps maybe full of offshore agents, because traditionally it's quite hard to align a dispersed team in the right way. So I think if AI can be used to enhance the human element, it can make managing teams and providing service much more efficient, and there's not going to be as full of friction and deflection.
No, great points. And if anyone's interested in hearing more about that and Agnes's perspective on this specifically, there is an Inspiring Women in CX podcast episode that you can just search on any platform and hear more from Agnes on that topic. So kind of let's just really hit the nail on the head here, because I think it's coming up, isn't it, to say that technology has been implemented to varying degrees of success. And some companies, probably those born in the digital era, have done it really well because they were built that way. And organizations who are older, have much more legacy in terms of technology, culture, etc., have really struggled. And the ones that we see struggle most with digital transformation typically are those. So for me, I think what I see is like, because technology and integrations, implementations are so expensive and they can take a long time, quite often the sight is lost of the customer service benefit of doing something to make people's lives easier. And because of the cost pressure on return on investment of some of those technologies, what we end up seeing is pressure to deliver the numbers in terms of reducing headcount and cutting agent contact. And I can't remember who said it, but artificial intelligence isn't that intelligent yet. Being the problem that you can't kind of do a straight like for like yet, but the way that the numbers in the business cases are stacking up, that's actually kind of what's happening. And ultimately people are getting these channels, not being able to have their response query solved first time. They're ending up in these queues anyway, and often ended up talking to someone. It's just taking a lot longer. So I guess I just wanted to put it out there. Do you think customers, if this kind of technology is being used to drive customer service or trying to drive return on investment of the technology itself? Who wants to go on that one?
I'll go on that one just briefly. So I think that for just to Shameen's point, actually, this isn't a new thing that we're talking about. I've been talking to, when I was at the Institute, I was talking to people 10 years ago about introducing self-serve solutions. But actually, I think talking to different industries and different organizations, there's a different emphasis on it sometimes. So sometimes it will be about lowering cost to serve, but they won't necessarily admit it. And but I think it's genuinely about limiting the amount of contact that's coming into the contact center, not necessarily about removing resource completely, but it's about utilizing that resource in different ways. So it might be about choosing low cost, low value interactions and making sure that they are supported with technology, so that then those people can be redispersed, if you like, to look after those people that have got very much more complex inquiries that they need to have the human interaction, because that's just what the customer needs at that point in time. So I think that lots of organizations want to do it for the right reasons, when in actual fact, if they get that right, then that actually will lead to lower cost to serve and essentially better customer experience and better CSAT. So I think that there is largely the right reasons in the first place for doing it in some instances. And I think if we could focus on having the right human interaction for the right customer requirement, I think that AI and technology and digital and self-serve can work very well. But what I would say is that whatever you choose to focus on in terms of those technology platforms, make sure that it's bulletproof, make sure that it works effectively before you actually set it up. Because to your point, Claire, if you don't, then they're going to have to go back through the contact center anyway. So I think that organizations essentially are doing it for less interaction into the contact center.
Yeah. And anyone in the chat, we'd love to know kind of what's your experience of this. Is customer service the priority, or has it been cost reduction? Do let us know. I'm just looking at the time. Wow, it's flying by. So we're gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit, ladies, I think, on these questions. So now I'm gonna go to Sandra and ask the question that's on probably everybody's mind, especially after that introduction to how our brains work. How important are empathy and emotional intelligence in customer service?
So I don't know whether you're going to like this or not, but I have news for you all. You are thinking about completely the wrong thing if you can honestly say that you can stand in your customer's shoes. You need to get over yourselves, because ultimately every single one of us views life completely differently. And the fact is, if someone in the front line says to me, "Oh, I totally understand how you feel," or, "Oh yeah, my mum had the similar thing," I lose it completely. My amygdala absolutely takes over. The fact is that every single one of us is completely different. We all process emotions completely differently. And if you can imagine just for a second, now bear with me while I try and paint this picture in your mind. You're at the cinema, and imagine that your brain is actually in the cinema box projecting the film. So you have a particular thing in your mind that you're projecting onto the screen. Now, in the moment when you're trying to empathize with someone, they're giving you some information. You are creating a picture of what you think that is, and you are projecting it back on them. What they are actually telling you is something completely different to what you're thinking. And so therefore, my argument here is we need emotional intelligence. And the reason why we need emotional intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, is because emotional intelligence is about self-awareness first and foremost. And the amazing thing about self-awareness is that when you actually check in with yourself, you recognize the emotions you are feeling in that moment. And then you can choose what you do with them. And the reason why that is important is, number one, you are far more likely to be aware that what you're thinking is not what the other person is thinking. So therefore you don't project. And secondly, when you know how you're feeling, you can choose what you do with that emotion, which means that you are more likely to be resilient. You are more likely to show up in a way that is consistent. You're less likely to slam doors, chuck plates, or do whatever it is that you do when you lose your what's it. So the fact is, we need empathy for the customer. We need empathy for the actual employee, and we need empathy in the organization, because this book proves that we can do it. And it doesn't cost a fortune. It just needs a mindset and absolute determination. It's possible, and it's magnificent when it happens. Woo!
And mic drop.
Mic drop.
Yeah, and I think that kind of the word empathy has been a bit misused, hasn't it, when it comes to customer service, customer experience. It became a buzzword, like channel or digital transformation, and we've kind of lost the context of it. And for me, I think it's about compassionate service, isn't it? If you can't truly understand what someone else is going through if you've not been through it, or you're not that person, but being able to have compassion and kindness, whatever the situation is, even if you can't feel what it was like to be in that is a good emotional intelligence technique for any situation, whether it's with customers or other people, relationships in general. So I love that, Sandra. Thank you so much. And we're getting lots of agreement in the chat, lots of thumbs up and 100% agrees. And I think a few people are sharing in the comments about Sangeeta just raised a really good one. They're adapting technologies to kind of keep up with the Joneses, so wanting the ROI that other companies are saying that they're getting. So that kind of pressure to do that as well. So scampering on from here, what would you recommend, Agnes, especially? I think I'm going to come to you here in terms of strategies for creating positive customer experiences. Let's give some value to the audience. What would you say we should be doing?
Yeah, I'm really moved by what you said there, Sandra, regarding like empathy. And I really truly believe, empathy always trumps anything. For us, when we hire, it's the one thing we test for. We always go, if they don't have empathy, there's no way they're joining. There's no way they're joining our team. So I guess to build on that, I think the best experience we can give to our customers is not just being able to provide them empathy, but being able to provide the tools by which our customer service agents can put that first and foremost with their customer. But what I find gets in the way of that is often all of the, hullabaloo of operating. So whether that be all the blockers towards getting the right knowledge or, all the things that get in the way on a day-to-day basis. For me as a manager and as a leader of the team, we really work on removing those blockers and putting that at the forefront of everything that we do. So I often say, I often call it greasing the runway for our agents, and ultimately it's really focusing on really good EX or a really good employee experience. So the way that we kind of do this is we focus firstly on simplicity. So with our team, we focus them on a purpose, and that purpose is two things: it's speed and it's ease, because our data shows again and again that when we get those two things right with our customer, they will always be a happy customer. So we keep it simple. We make this our mantra, and we align everything we do, whether that be process improvement or employee experience related, towards how we can make things more speedier or easier for our agents and also for our customers. So there's always a pillar by which we can fall back our decisions on, right? But then there's also a third pillar that we think about, and it's hard enough getting speaking needs right, but we also try and put in the third one, which is if we get that one right, it will elevate our service to the next level. That pillar is personalization. And I often think personalization is the thing that really also gives the joy back to customer service as well, because when an agent is empowered and has the time to really go above and beyond and to really think about the customer at hand that they have right there and then and provide the best service, they get the fuzzy feelings. They get the things that they love about being customer service and being an empathetic person. So our customers also love that. They really love a personalized response and they want the human touch. But, in doing so, you've got to compromise on speed. So, for us, it's really about how do we get the chemistry of all of these three pillars right. And in order to do that, what we try and do is we try things really quickly and we learn really quickly and we try and fail really fast and explain our failures to our team as well. So we're very transparent about it. More recently, we've been working on a lot of rapid fire experimentation with the team. So just changing really small bits of process. But what we don't do is we don't do this as a vacuum. We don't do this in a vacuum as leaders. We focus on not just the operational data, but we also actually interview our agents quite often. So we have a lot of conversations with them about what are the things that block them on a day-to-day basis, whether that be small, medium, or large. And we also think they're the best to give us the suggestions to solve the problems too. And what we love about that is when they can see their suggestions and their feedback being brought to life, and then we come back and we tell the story of how they're the ones that drove that change. So to simplify things, we track all of these statements in a Kanban, then we choose the ones that we think the highest impact and the best effort, and then we work through them in sprints, and then we close the feedback loop with our agents after we've delivered them, whether they failed, whether they succeeded, and in doing so we involve them in the journey, because for me that's really important, because they're the ones that are delivering the service, so they're always going to be the ones that are going to give the best solutions.
That's brilliant answer. Absolutely love that one. Audience, it's almost time to get your questions ready. So if you have a burning question you'd like to ask the panel, this is your 5-minute warning to get ready, and we're going to be asking those real soon. So we're going to have to be super speed round now because I've not done my job very well today, facilitating this panel and keeping us all on time. So Leonie, let's keep these super practical tips coming. What are the common misconceptions businesses have about customer service that we as leaders in the field need to be aware of?
Really quickly then, I would say that the top misconception for a lot of organizations is that the customer service is, dealt with in a room down the whole corridor, actually, and with maybe the CX team. Everybody in your organization is responsible for service delivery. So that's probably the top misconception. Another misconception for me is that actually you can do this from the bottom up. It has to be from the top down. It has to be toned from the top. If your leaders aren't talking about this, then it's probably not going to resonate across the rest of the organization. And then I guess another one for me would be about customers don't care more about price than service. Service is exceptionally important to customers, and it's proven within research that is the case. And then maybe another one would be around complaints. A common misconception is that complaints are bad. Complaints aren't necessarily bad. Like, complaints are an opportunity if you look at them effectively and deal with them and handle them. They're brilliant for learning, and they're brilliant for, if you can deal with a complaint, then you can probably get better advocacy from your customers than you would have if they were just passive and didn't tell you anything. Oh, lastly, another misconception, which has already been said, which is around if people are not talking to you, then they're happy. But it's probably not the case whatsoever. They're just very, very passive and likely to, get moved to somebody else if you don't start talking to them, which is why some regulators now expect you to go and get insight from your passive customers, because it's really important to know what they think as well as your verbal customers. So those are just a few that I would pick, not endless. There's loads more.
Yeah, and we this could be a whole topic for another debate as well, couldn't it? But customer service is a cost center or a profit center, like how to create value through it rather than just thinking of it as a cost to the business. And I don't know where to go next. I've still got so many questions to ask you. But I just do a quick fire, like everyone, not one word, but one sentence answers. What do you think the biggest challenge or barrier is holding people and businesses back from delivering great service? Shamim, putting you on the spot.
Yes. Well, the biggest barrier, in my opinion, is still foundational. Any business, any organization can evolve. They can transform, but they need to get their shit together. Basically, they need to streamline. They need to optimize the processes. They know what needs to be done. They just need to get on and do it. And bringing what everybody said together, it needs to be a blend of focusing on customer service as well as cost reduction. It doesn't have to be so. It doesn't have to be so negative for the people that work in the organizations and the people that use it. If you blend it together and do it for the right reasons, cleaning up as you go, it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, nice. I like that one. And this could be a challenge or opportunity actually question, because I know we didn't manage to cover everything. How about you, Leonie? I think challenge or opportunity?
For me, I'm going to say challenge and opportunity would be to make sure that you empower and trust your staff to deal with the problem at the time, rather than have to escalate, rather than have to go through policy. So I used to work with an organisation, I still know them now, brilliant organisation that have a kind of internal mantra, which is our staff are entitled to break our policies but never our principles. So it means just get the job done at the time and resolve it, and then it won't escalate into a bigger problem. So that's kind of what I would say around that empowerment and trust piece.
And Amazon's brilliant at that, aren't they? Got a return? No worries, we'll come and pick it up. Don't want to ask you why or what's wrong. We'll just fix it. Yeah. Sandra?
So I'm with Leonie 100% on the managers piece. I think they're a neglected group of individuals. You look at the leadership, you look at the front line, you're not looking at the managers. They can change everything. There's a saying, isn't there? You join an organization, you leave your manager. They need more power. And I also think, coming back to the point about complaints, imagine if it was called business development and not complaints. and how that would change the mindset within the organization. The fact is, we know from science, from things like Pekin's rule, that the longer you leave it, the more difficult you make for someone to make a complaint, the less they're going to trust you, the more hostile they're going to get, which means you've already lost them. So let's reposition some of these things in the mindset of the organization, then see what happens.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And Agnes, what's the biggest challenge or opportunity?
Yeah, I'd agree with kind of what Shameen was saying. I think it's how companies address change management, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what they're asking for when adopting, you know, digital transformation or otherwise, right? Even for process improvement, you know, how you manage change with your people, with your customer, and with the tools and the process will really affect the success of that transformation itself. So if they don't have basic ways to manage change, and they're not transparent with their staff about the change, they don't know how to communicate those changes, it's going to be it's always going to end in failure. And we're not going to see that ROI that, you know, companies want so much from a lot of these transformation projects. So I think it's at its foundation, change management, and doing that well.
Nice.
I just want to add that I want to work where Agnes is, because it sounds like you're doing all the right things for the right reasons.
We try. It doesn't mean we always get it right.
Yeah, but I think a good point is the industry you're in as well. I think that is shining through, and there's a lot of organizations globally that are in a position where they don't have to change, because people have to contact them. The people that they are supposed to be serving don't have any other options, and that really frustrates me. Makes me want to bleep. But that needs to be sorted out as well. So.
Yeah, so I think kind of to summarize this conversation, we're saying that for too long now, people, process, and technology have been considered independently of each other, and actually what we need now is a way of bringing that all in focus through the lens of human experience in order to create better service experiences for customers, better business results, and ultimately also critically better experiences for people who are working at that front line, dealing with the poop, as Sandra put it, on a day-to-day basis. But the opportunities are there to do this. I think Agnes, as you said, you know, she's leading the way by example here. You're demonstrating that this can really work. So yeah, let's keep sharing those case studies of how to get it right, even if it's not right all the time, right throughout this change. So we've got some questions from the audience now. Are you ready? So first of all, we've got Haya's question, and that is, what is the most influential factor in human empathy? I think we know who's going to answer that one.
Okay, so I'm going to make it very short, which is, does the person who has the opportunity to empathize have permission to show up? There's this thing called psychological safety. I'm a bit mixed about it, but the bottom line is, if someone is going to be reprimanded, penalized, sacked for doing something that creates an emotional connection, that organization is in for a hiding anyway, because we know that emotional connection creates the loyalty, which creates the word of mouth, which actually is going to bloom your business. So there are loads of other answers to that. I'll probably send you a little dissertation on it. But I do think that if the person who has the opportunity to be empathetic isn't given that opportunity and is reprimanded, you have lost incredible talent. And actually, you may as well say goodbye longer term.
Nice. It's all about empowerment. Oh, Leonie, you're on mute.
Sorry, I just wanted to add to that, actually, because I have a lot of conversations with organisations that say, yeah, we do empower our staff. We tell them all the time that we trust them to make the right decision, but it just doesn't come out in terms of the actual behaviours. So I worked for a hotel chain once, just quickly. The general manager came in and she basically signed contracts with every single one of her employees to say that they were authorized to give a free hotel night stay if they wanted to. There was no backlash whatsoever, and her CSAT went up 10 points within 1 month. Never ever was a hotel room given away. But the empowerment that people felt in terms of making the decision at the front line was brilliant. So it's just an example of how you can do it, and it can be done.
Yeah, and I was at Premier Inn when they introduced the good night guarantee, which meant anyone who didn't have a good night's sleep were automatically entitled to a refund, and every employee was entitled to do that. And people panicked. They thought, oh my God, our invocations are going to go through the roof. We're going to lose loads of money. It just didn't happen. Like the empowerment of it and the customer's knowledge that they could ask for it meant that it was, just things got better all around. Sandra, are you going to say something there?
I was going to say something. So again, I don't know how you feel about this. It's for another conversation. But I'm going to say that you cannot empower someone. Who the hell are you to tell me that I'm empowered? If I feel it, I'll do it. Don't tell me I'm empowered. All right.
All right.
I just think that it's really rich for an organization to say, you're empowered. Listen, if you actually recruited me for the skills and the attitude and the amazing personality that you saw at interview, just let me be myself. And you know that you're going to have the most incredible customer experience. And you know that there's going to be this thing called emotional contagion from how I show up. Anyone who tells me I'm empowered makes me not want to go the extra mile. And the final thing on this is that when managers think that they have empowered, what they've said is, you're empowered. Hello, it comes from behaviors. It comes from the things that they say. It comes from the way they treat people. Then you get the sense that you're empowered. Oh, don't get me on that.
Amazing, amazing.
I know never to use that word in front of you ever again. And then we've got a question for Bonatito. I think so. The last one we're going to have time for now. So with new technology comes challenges too. The steep learning curve when it comes to learning to use and adapt to new technology, and I think that's on the customer front as well as the back end, people who are using it and operating it as users. And it can be costly for the business to implement, and there's a looming concern that people are worried about tech stealing their jobs. Does anyone have a viewpoint on that? Will technology replace humans when it comes to customer service? Shamim and Agnes, I think you guys would be good to answer this.
Yeah, I think we're like many moons away from that even being a possibility. I think not all technologies are really costly to introduce and adapt. It's about how you do it and when you do it, and that's for stealing jobs. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, I started working with Google on their contact center AI project. And right from the get-go, it was about responsible AI, responsible technology, in that the people that are bringing it to us are not bringing it to us to take our jobs, to mean that we can just, I don't know, go for long walks for the rest of our lives. It's there to augment. It's there to augment. It's there to take, so that we don't have to do the boring, the repetitive, to allow us to focus on the complex, the things that really need those empathetic conversations that technology just can't have today. It's there to be our friend when it's used in the right way, not to steal our jobs and not to do us out of a monthly wage. And when it's used for that, I think businesses will reap the benefits, and they will keep staying above the trends, and they won't be going down the pan, basically. That's my view on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Agnes, anything to add?
I think just echoing what I said before, which is don't be afraid to fail fast. We actually implemented a bot, or what they call an answer bot, this time last year. We spent 2 quarters trying to get it right, and it wasn't until we realized that our customer base just did not want it. They were telling us directly through NPS comments, through CSAT, they did not want it. They were getting confused by it. Some thought it was a real person. There was just a lot of confusion there, that we just decided to pull the pin because it wasn't worthwhile. So it wasn't costly. We learned a lot, and the report on that actually told us where we needed to go next was we needed to actually have something similar, but with more of a human element. So that's where we started our live chat program, because that was what people actually said they wanted based upon the bot. So yeah, no, I don't think they're out to steal our jobs. We tried and it didn't work, but don't be afraid to try quickly and to pull the pin as quickly as well, so you don't actually lose as much, much of that business investment.
And I was just looking at Indira's comment, which is, we can never replace humans. We can replace parts of the system, systemize routines and humanize exceptions. That's very articulate. Very nice. Well, thank you everybody for attending our LinkedIn Live today. Thank you, panelists. You're amazing. And yeah, please come and join us again next time. We'll be having a special International Women's Day focus on diversity and equity and inclusion next month. Please do head over to womeninCX.community if you'd like to find out more about membership, about free events. There's so many ways to get involved, and we just love for you all to come a little bit closer. So thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.